This is Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl, Junior Edition. Now from the Collins Aerospace Studio at the Nordloff Center in downtown Rockford, here's your host, Eric Wilson.
We are so glad you chose to join us for another edition of Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl Junior Edition. Last week, Keith earned a spot in our championship. One of these teams will join the Cougars. First, will it be the Marshall Mustangs? How about a nice round of applause for them? The high-powered Mustangs back in the Final Four after a pretty impressive win over Willowbrook, 380 to 210. Sophia led the way with 8 correct buzz-ins. Sophia, you are the captain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us who you brought with you.
I have Wyatt, Jimmy, and Schloke.
The questions get easier from here on out, Sophia, I promise. Welcome to the Marshall Mustangs, taking on the Belvidere Central Blue Thunder. Now, unlike our other teams that are in the Final Four, this is actually Belvidere Central's very first appearance here. The balanced attack, the Blue Thunder made it here. They doubled up Winnebago, 330 points. That is a pretty high total. Who is your captain? Owen, introduce us to your starting lineup.
I'm Owen, and on my far right is Ethan, on my right is Jack, and on my left is Matthew.
With confidence. You both introduced your teams very well. Nice job, captains. Now, the real business of answering questions. Hands on your buzzers. That's how we begin our game with the buzz-in round. Remember the 2 most important rules. Wait for me to say your name before you give an answer, and then say that answer loudly and clearly. Good luck, teams. A seat in the championship is on the line. Here we go. Dentist Byron McKeeby appears on the right side of what 1930 painting by Grant Wood, in which he stands next to Jimmy.
American Gothic.
That's right, stands next to Wood's sister, holds a pitchfork in front of an Iowa farmhouse. Atherosclerosis is believed to be caused by high blood levels of what substance, which comes in HDL, Jack?
Cholesterol?
Yes, HDL and LDL varieties, and which is present in eggs, butter, and red meat. It'll be years before you have to worry about those numbers. What city was the site of the Maccabean revolt when Judeans reclaimed the city's second temple, which had replaced Ethan?
Jerusalem?
Yes, even with my stumble, they replaced a Jewish temple built by Solomon. Name the 2023 song that pledges to write my name in the sand, and Owen.
Flowers.
You got it, and By Myself, the title Things, and is sung by Miley Cyrus. Bucephalus was the favorite horse of what ruler? A son of Philip of Macedon, who conquered Greece and Persia in the... Owen.
Alexander.
That is correct, in the 4th century BCE. And BC is on a roll. In a namesake show, what fictional character's president version gets his hand bit off by his alligator self while trying to overthrow Jack?
Captain Hook.
Incorrect. I'll finish for Marshall. While trying to overthrow his kid self, who had successfully killed his adoptive brother Thor. Jimmy.
Loki.
Yes, that last clue probably helped. Season 2 of Loki set to debut in October. What region lies below the Moho discontinuity, is the site of convection plumes that create hot spots, and makes up more than 80% of the Earth's volume? Wyatt.
Mantle?
You got it. Immediately below the Earth's crust. What modern-day country's 12 treasures include the Alhambra in Andalusia, a branch of the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, and the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona? Sophia.
Spain.
That is right. Capital is Madrid. Those are your points. A trio and break strain are commonly heard in what type of music? Examples of which include Washington Post, Liberty Bell. Jimmy.
March.
Yes, and the Stars and Stripes Forever by its king, John Philip Sousa. Mount Mitchell is the highest peak in what mountain range, where Springer Mountain and Mount Katahdin are 2 ends of a trail that stretches from Jack?
Appalachian?
Yes, that trail is the Appalachian Trail stretching from Georgia to Maine. Tied up. Name the American author of Breakfast of Champions and Cat's Cradle, who wrote about Billy Pilgrim becoming... Jimmy.
Vonnegut.
Yes, unstuck in time during the firebombing of Dresden in Slaughterhouse 5. What politician conspired with James Wilkinson to make a breakaway country in the American South while serving as vice president, during which time he also shot and killed Alexander Hamilton? Jimmy.
Burr.
That's right. There is your weekly Hamilton reference. Name the short story by Shirley Jackson in which Tessie Hutchison screams, "It isn't fair, it isn't right," as she is stoned to death because she drew a black spot during the title game of chance. Owen.
Ring Around the Rosie.
Incorrect. Marshall, you could take these points. Should have had a spoiler alert for that short story, which is called The Lottery. What unit of measurement is defined as the amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of a kilogram of water by 1 Kelvin and is commonly encountered on nutrition labels? Wyatt.
Calorie.
Yes, that last clue is probably pretty helpful. Name the punctuation mark whose name comes from the Greek for turning away or omitting, and which can indicate, Ethan.
Ellipses.
Incorrect. I will finish for Marshall. Which can indicate the genitive or possessive case when it is followed by the letter S. Sophia.
Apostrophe.
You got it. And that's how we end the round. We're out of time for that round. Very close game here. 40 points is not a big swing, but there's also a lot of game left to play. 90 is where Marshall is. Belvidere Central is at 50. We'll take a break and come back with our next round, which is volleyball, after this. One round into this game, which will decide who the second team is in our finale this season for Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl Juniors. Marshall has 90, Belvidere Central has 50. Not a very big point spread yet, but like I said, lots of game left to play. Before we get to some more questions, a very special thank you to our judge today. Jerry Labai is the chair of the Mass Comm department at Rock Valley College. He has graciously decided to keep an eye on things and make sure that I don't screw anything up, which, depending on the day, can be a little bit bigger task. But more importantly, Jerry's a really good guy and a good friend. So Jerry, thanks for being here. Contestants, our volleyball round is a conferring round. Work as a team, but the answers need to come from the captains. And remember, nobody's stealing points from you, so you don't need to interrupt. It's probably wise to listen to the whole question before you answer. Just some advice. Because of the coin flip, the first volleyball question's going to Owen and Belvidere Central. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Wow, sir. All right, 10 points for Belvidere Central. I'm sorry, I can't do that, but super polite. Here we go. Here's your first question, Owen. Miki Sudo was the 2022 champion at a contest sponsored by Nathan's Famous each July 4th to eat which kind of food?
Hot dog.
When prepared Chicago style does not have ketchup. Goes from being super polite and calling me sir to interrupting me when I'm reading a question. How does that work out? Negative 10 points. No, I'm kidding. You earned those 10, and let's get a new question now for Marshall's first of the round. The Calvin cycle takes place in the stroma, a fluid contained within which plant organelle? This organelle appears green under a microscope due to the chlorophyll contained within it.
Chloroplast.
You got it. Back over to Belvidere Central. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25 is the start of what sequence of numbers named for how they can be drawn geometrically or for the exponent used to create them?
Pi.
Incorrect. Square numbers. Those are squares. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Back to Marshall. Seward's Folly was a derisive nickname for the $7.2 million purchase of what territory, which became the 49th U.S. state?
Alaska.
You got it. Probably could narrow it down, either Alaska or Hawaii, but it was Alaska, and you got it. Back to Belvidere Central. The New Horizons probe visited which dwarf planet, which is orbited by the moons Hydra, Kerberos, Nix, Styx, and Charon?
Pluto.
You got it. Yep. New Horizons is still going out into the Kuiper Belt, maybe beyond. Back to Marshall. René Magritte's Time Transfixed is on display at what city's art institute? A museum in Grant Park, just south of a polished steel sculpture known as the Bean.
Chicago.
You got it. Raise your hand if you've ever taken a selfie in front of the Bean. Lots of people. Back to Belvidere Central. Baron Haussmann oversaw the urban renewal of what European city, including the design of 12 roads that lead to the Arc de Triomphe?
Paris.
You got it. Also home to the Eiffel Tower. Very good. Back to Marshall. What element whose atomic number of 20 places it just below magnesium in the second group of the periodic table is found in the minerals apatite, gypsum, and limestone? Buzzer got you. We also get a lot of it from drinking milk. Calcium. Back to Belvidere Central. Nadine Gordimer and Alan Patton are writers from what country where their novels The Conservationist and Cry the Beloved Country are set during apartheid?
Russia.
Incorrect. It almost looked like Jack. It was on the tip of your tongue. Apartheid, you had that. That was a key clue. South Africa is the country we were looking for. Back to Marshall. What U.S. president oversaw the era of good feelings after the War of 1812 as he was elected nearly unanimously to succeed James Madison?
Monroe.
Say that again?
Monroe.
That is correct. You got it, and that was the last question of the round. We're out of time. So Marshall gets those last 10 points as we head into the halfway point. Marshall is at 130. Belvidere Central has 80. Halfway through our game means you get to play. Just watch the Bergstrom bonus question, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with the answer.
Effective noon, August 9th, 1974, which U.S. president resigned as a result of his involvement in the Watergate scandal?
Halfway through our last semifinal game, Marshall's off to a little bit of a lead here. They extended their lead by about 10 points. They have 130. Belvidere Central has 80. Before we change the scores, how about some pizza and pasta from Lino's? That's what's on the line with the Bergstrom bonus question. Sophia nodding her head enthusiastically. You'll see why. So hands on your buzzers. It's a typical buzz-in question other than no points, just the pizza and pasta. Here we go, contestants. Let me know if you know the answer. Effective noon, August 9th, 1974, which U.S. president resigned as a result? Jimmy.
Nixon?
That's right, of his involvement in the Watergate scandal. To this date, Nixon is the only U.S. president to ever resign the office. Congratulations, Jimmy and Marshall. You celebrate with pizza and pasta at a day of your choosing. We will come back, take a quick break, and have our NECA IBEW lightning round. Lots of points on the line in that round. We'll see what happens after the break. Those applause you hear have been going on throughout the entire commercial break because of Jimmy's victory in the Bergstrom bonus question. Nice job, Jimmy. Let's get on to some questions worth points now in our lightning round, and there's a lot of points on the line. There's 3 categories to choose from, and because of the flip, Marshall gets first pick. So, Sophia, the 3 categories for you this week are wars around the world, literary orphans, or internet cats.
Literary orphans.
You got it. Name these orphaned characters in works of classic literature from clues about the works in which they appear. So you're going to name the characters. I will give you clues about the works. 60 seconds on the clock. You can run all 10 of these. You'll get 100 points added to your score. If they don't get to all of them or they pass on some, Owen, you will have 30 seconds, you and the team, to get to those points that are left. This is a team effort, right? But all the answers have to come from the captains. And advice to both teams, you can pass. Don't forget about that option. Sophia, are you ready for your first one?
Yes.
60 seconds is on the clock. Name these orphaned characters in works of classic literature from clues about the works in which they appear. Girl who lives with her aunt and uncle in Kansas in The Wizard of Oz.
Dorothy.
Correct. Ring-bearing hobbit who lives with his uncle, Bilbo Baggins.
Pass.
Mark Twain character whose father is found dead in a floating house by Tom Sawyer.
Huckleberry Finn.
Correct. Boy who asks for more gruel and joins the Artful Dodger in a novel by Charles Dickens.
Oliver Twist.
Correct. Title character who marries Rochester in a novel by Charlotte Bronte.
Jane Eyre.
Correct. Red-haired girl who's accidentally sent to live with the Cuthberts on Prince Edward Island.
Anne of Green Gables.
That's correct. Adopted boy who seeks revenge on everyone else in Wuthering Heights.
Heathcliff.
Correct. Adoptive sister and wife of Victor Frankenstein.
Elizabeth.
Correct. Real name of the title marksman in the James Fenimore Cooper, The Deerslayer. No time to answer. The clock is up, so we got that one and one that we didn't answer, didn't get to. 7 right, 70 points on your score. You are up to 200. So there's 3 left for you, Owen. You'd add 30 points to your score. Simple math, right? You know the math. You're here. You're smart. If you get these right, we'll boost your score, and then we'll move on to a new category. 30 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Name these orphaned characters in works of classic literature from clues about the works in which they appear. Ring-bearing hobbit who lives with his uncle Bilbo Baggins.
Frodo.
That's correct. Real name of the title marksman in James Fenimore Cooper's The Deerslayer.
Robin Hood.
Incorrect. Title failed scholar who ruins his life with Sue Bridehead in a novel by Thomas Hardy.
Smith.
Incorrect. You got to guess. You have to, right? Time is up. Well, there's nothing to go back to. The last 2 that no one got. The real name of the Deerslayer is Natty Bumppo, or Nathaniel Bumppo. We would have taken that. And the title Failed Scholar Who Ruins His Life with Sue Bridehead in the Thomas Hardy novel. That novel is Jude the Obscure. That was Jude Folly. That was the character. So, Belvidere Central, you have 2 categories left to pick from. So, Owen, they are Wars Around the World or Internet Cats.
We'll take wars.
Okay, that's good, because we would have spent hours looking at those internet cats. We would have been down that rabbit hole and never come out. Wars Around the World, given the name of a battle and some other clues, name the modern-day country where that battle was fought. All your answers will be modern-day countries. Same 60-second rules apply to you, and then Sophia, same 30-second rules apply to you to whatever they don't get to. Remember the pass option. Owen, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Given the name of a battle and some other clues, name the modern-day country where that battle was fought. The World War II battles of Stalingrad and Leningrad.
Russia.
Correct. Cannae during Hannibal's invasion of Rome.
Italy.
Correct. The 1798 Battle of the Nile.
Egypt.
Correct. Iwo Jima, where a flag was famously
Japan.
raised. Correct. The French withdrawal from Dien Bien Phu, decades before the American withdrawal from Saigon.
Vietnam.
Correct. The ancient battles of Salamis, Marathon, and Thermopylae.
Greece.
Correct. The dozens of sieges of Constantinople.
Turkey.
Correct. The English victories of Agincourt and Crécy during the 100 Years' War.
France.
Correct. The 1847 American siege of Veracruz.
Mexico.
Correct. Waterloo, the final loss for France under Napoleon.
Netherlands.
Incorrect. So you almost ran that category. That was pretty impressive. 180 you are up to now. You could extend that by 10 points, Sophia, if you know the answer to this last one. You've got 30 seconds. Take all 30 if you want, or just give the answer. Here we go. Name this battle from the clues that I give you. From the name of the battle, name the modern-day country where that battle was fought. Here it comes. Waterloo, the final loss for France under Napoleon.
Sweden?
Incorrect. That was in Belgium. So as we head into our final challenge, there's basically one question separating our 2 teams because each question in the next round is worth 20 points. Marshall has 200, Belvidere Central has 180. We'll see how those scores end up after one more round after this break. This is as close as you expect a semifinal game to be. Marshall has 200 points. Belvidere Central, easy for me to say, has 180. So it's a 20-point swing, and each question in our final challenge is worth 20 points. Sit tight, fasten your seatbelt, because we could see the lead change quite a bit in this round based on the performance of these teams in the past. Hands on your buzzers, contestants. Remember, especially when a game is this close, wait for me to say your name before you answer, and say that answer loudly and clearly. Hands on your buzzers. Here we go. Good luck, teams. A seat in our championship is on the line. What man rose to power after the surprising December 31st, 1999 resignation of Boris Yeltsin, briefly traded the presidency with Dmitry Medvedev, and currently leads Owen?
Putin.
That's correct. Vladimir Putin currently leads Russia. We're tied right now. The base of a logarithm must be what type of number? Taking the absolute value of a number always gives you this type of Ethan.
Positive.
That is correct, which is found to the right of 0 on a number line. 2 in a row. A common colligative property will elevate the point at which what process occurs? This process typically takes place at 212, Jack?
Boiling.
Correct. 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius in water. That's 3 in a row. Mrs. White was briefly replaced by Dr. Orchid in what board game? Benji.
Clue.
That's right. Tokens include lead pipe, candlestick, and a knife. Name the novel in which Lucy Manette's husband, Charles Darnay, is replaced at the guillotine by his lookalike, Sidney Carton. Jimmy.
Tale of Two Cities?
Yes, a work by Charles Dickens about the French Revolution. 2 in a row for Marshall. We're tied. What composer of Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun tried to convince colleagues that he wasn't an impressionist musician, despite the shimmering sound of piano pieces like his Clair de Lune? Sophia.
Debussy?
Debussy is correct. 3 in a row for Marshall. You are now in the lead. What process, which only occurs in eukaryotic cells, goes through stages like anaphase and metaphase and results in no change in the number of chromosomes, unlike meiosis? Wyatt.
Mitosis?
Mitosis is that form of cell division. What major U.S. city is the site of the longest continuous bridge over water, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway? This home of the French Quarter is the last major... Jack.
New Orleans.
That's right, last major city on the Mississippi River in Louisiana. What mythical figures, such as Gunnar and Brunhilde, were shield maidens, Jimmy?
Valkyries?
Yes, and guides who flew the souls of warriors to the Norse afterlife. Name the play by Arthur Miller in which Tituba is driven insane in prison after being falsely accused of casting Jack.
Les Mis.
Incorrect. I will finish for Marshall. Casting spells during the Salem witch trials. Jimmy.
The Crucible.
That is The Crucible. Indexes that calculate the performance of what systems include the FTSE, Nikkei, and S&P 500? The 1929 Wyatt.
Stock market?
Yes, the 1929 crash of one of these led to the Great Depression. 3 in a row now for Marshall. The eastern border of Liechtenstein is shared with what European country, which is home to the cities of Linz, Innsbruck, Owen?
Switzerland.
Incorrect. I will finish for Marshall. Salzburg and Vienna. Sophia.
Austria.
Austria is right. Several transition metals possess a form of magnetism named for what metal element called Wyatt?
Iron.
That's right, ferromagnetism. This element has the atomic symbol Fe. You didn't need all the rest of that information, and Marshall pulls away at the end. Congratulations, Mustangs. You are returning to the championship. Nice work. Smiles all around. Belvidere Central, I know you'd rather be smiling. That's right, Jack. Take a breath. Take a drink, too. You guys put a lot of work into this game, and it's hard to make it to this round. We say this all the time. You would much rather be winning, but you should be really proud of how you played because there are certainly people here watching you play in the audience and watching at home who are very happy. How many of you are 8th graders? So Justin and Ethan, normally, if these are seniors, we could say goodbye, but we don't say goodbye because we will see you playing for Belvidere, right? I hope. 2 enthusiastic head nods. That's the typical reaction I get. Well, again, congratulations. I know you're disappointed, but you did play a fantastic game. And you will see Marshall next week when you join us as they take on Keith in our Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl Juniors Championship. We'll see you then.